and we're in the third and last day of the Finance Magnates London Summit 23. Welcome aboard. We're here with Veronica Glab, Head of Partnerships at Innovate Finance. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
How has it been so far? You've been here yesterday, you were here today.
It's been buzzing. It's been really great, and it's refreshing to see a very positive energy because there's so many events going on in London, particularly at this time of year. So it's really nice to see a lot of different fintech companies and financial services talking about some of the exciting things happening in our industry.
By all means, tis the season for events. So yesterday you moderated a much anticipated panel about investing in financial services. I think we brought together a lineup who's quite unique in this space. Did you gain any notable insight into this space?
I did. I mean, look, I talk to investors and founders day in and day out, and it was great to hear some of their advice for founders looking to fundraise in 2024. And a lot of it comes down to the really practical stuff, including having a product that fundamentally solves a need, and then being able to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of growing and scaling your company. And it's not about the destination, but about that journey that includes what we think is the boring things. So having good operations, having all of our admin in order, finding and keeping the right talent.
So less vision and more provision.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, and today you're here to discuss fintech more broadly. I think the session is what's next for fintech, if I'm not mistaken. So from where you sit, and we'll soon talk about that, what are the major trends that you see that will dominate 2024?
Well, there's a few things. There's a couple of verticals that investors are excited about, not least amongst them, AI. And we're certainly going to see a lot of really interesting applications of artificial intelligence in terms of enhancing financial services, better, more intelligent decision-making, and actually the social impact of making finance more equitable.
Are you already seeing impact to the real world of OpenAI? Sam Altman, yesterday he was off to Microsoft. Today he's the CEO. What do you make of this?
Well, mostly I'm sitting back with a cup of popcorn and trying to see how it plays out. That's an interesting one, really, because there's a couple of things we have to consider. You know, I think it will have an impact on AI. We've already seen the stock prices of Microsoft change very quickly over the span of a weekend. But I think we also have to remember that we're having this conversation in the context of tech experts and tech nerds. And we're a very small population. What the general public will understand or what they will think, I don't know if that will have a significant reputational damage for OpenAI. Regardless, I think they're going to have to really consider not just the company culture that they are trying to build, but really the long-term vision for the company's profitability and operations.
That sounds an interesting future in the making. If I zoom out, still within NI, the crux of the discussion there, among other things, was the impact of AI for good or for worse, where, you know, some of the board members were more reluctant to go ahead with the business plan and others not. How do you see the broad vision of AI in terms of danger to humanity even, or just in the financial services?
Well, in terms of any danger to humanity, one thing that I always say is that when we think about some of these chaos theories and end of the world, robots conquering us, that assumes that AI has an agenda. And the intelligent thing about AI is it does not have an agenda. It's a database, language learning model. So there's a part of me that's really hopeful that if we teach machines, if we give them the feedback that our incentive should be to give back to the world and that this is the correct agenda, the learning models are intelligent enough to piece that out and understand that you get out of the world what you put into it. So that's the optimistic side of me, is saying, why don't we teach the world to be good?
Okay, I cast that vote. Okay, perhaps you can share with our viewers what exactly you do at Innovate Finance, how partnerships work, to give them a broader view.
Yeah. Well, other than waxing poetic about AI and,
Yeah,
and fintech.
at some point.
So I do two things. So I head up our partnerships, engaging new members across fintech, financial services, and venture, and integrating them into some of our core programs and our community. And then I spend a lot of time on our annual investment report that comes out every January. And that report tracks every single venture deal into fintech around the world, from which I find the big patterns and headlines of what are the top markets for fintech investment, the top verticals, what's the direction of travel across stages of investment as well. So if we want to get really granular and you ask me how many deals are being done across how much capital in payments in Singapore, I could probably tell you that.
And that's public domain, the reports? Not quite.
The reports are public. They come out every January, usually around mid-month, and we host a launch event for them in London. And then if you have any questions for me based on that report, our team are always happy to answer them.
Okay, that's amazing. So to finish off, what advice would you give to a startup in financial services, walking around these booths, trying to gain clout, traction? What piece of advice would you give to someone starting out in this space?
Very good question. I mean, look, here in the UK, we have a very big fintech community that feels small because we have a very cohesive ecosystem, and there's a number of organizations in place to bring you into their community and offer tailored advice and support. So that could be organizations like Innovate Finance or Open Banking Excellence or London and Partners. And putting yourself in that community is already a massive step forward to help you clarify your vision on where you need to go next. This might be very different in other markets like the US, where there's a lot of grassroots communities and not a lot of centralization of the ecosystem. But for that, I say, you're going to have to be a little bit extroverted and you have to let it evolve organically over time as well. Because as you integrate yourself into a particular fintech community, your mission and your vision will evolve.
That's sound words of advice. Great. We'll wait for the January report. Thank you very much.